souls, to a place where the shadows come to life and nightmares become reality. I am your guide through the darkest corners of the human psyche, and you've just stumbled upon Grim Chronicles, your portal to the most bone-chilling, spine-tingling horror stories from the deepest abyss of terror. But before we delve into the abyss, there's a small ritual to perform. You see, the only way to escape the clutches of darkness is by hitting that like button down below. It's your beacon of hope, your protection from the horrors that await. Now don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell too, so you never miss a single tale of dread. Are you ready to face your fears, my fellow thrill seekers? The shadows are lurking, and the stories are waiting. Brace yourselves, for your journey into the heart of darkness is about to begin. Now let's unlock the secrets of the night and explore the horrors that lie in wait. Stay tuned and never wander into the dark alone, for here at Grim Chronicles, fear is our faithful companion. Dare to join us. The Whispering Woods. In the heart of a remote forest, hidden far from the prying eyes of civilization, lay the Whispering Woods. Its ancient trees stood like sentinels, their gnarled branches intertwined, casting ominous shadows on the forest floor. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth, and an eerie silence hung in the atmosphere. It was here that a group of friends embarked on a fateful camping trip, unaware of the malevolent secrets lurking in the depths of the woods. The sun was beginning its descent, casting a warm golden hue over the Whispering Woods as the friends arrived at their campsite. Their laughter and excitement filled the air as they set up their tents, kindling the campfire and eagerly unpacking their supplies. Sarah, the adventurous and bold leader of the group, had suggested the trip as a way to escape the stress of their everyday lives and reconnect with the beauty of the natural world. As night descended, the stars shone brightly in the dark, moonless sky, and the campfire crackled, casting long, flickering shadows. The friends gathered around the fire, toasting marshmallows and sharing stories. The night was peaceful, and the only sounds were the distant hoots of an owl and the gentle rustling of leaves in the breeze. As the clock neared midnight, the temperature dropped, and an unnatural chill swept through the campsite. The friends huddled closer to the fire, wrapping themselves in blankets to ward off the cold. It was then that they first heard it, a faint, ghostly whisper carried on the wind. "Did you hear that?" Sarah asked, her voice quivering. The others nodded, exchanging nervous glances. The whisper was soft and indistinct, like a distant echo, and it seemed to emanate from the very trees themselves. "Maybe it's just the wind," James, the skeptic of the group, suggested. But the whispers persisted, growing slightly louder and more insistent with each passing moment. The friends strained to make out the words but couldn't discern any meaning. It was as though the forest itself was trying to communicate with them. Despite the whispers, they tried to dismiss it as a trick of the imagination and carry on with their night. However, the unease in the air was palpable, and their laughter had turned to nervous chuckles. The forest, once inviting, now seemed to press in on them, as if it were alive and aware of their presence. Hours passed, and the whispers continued to intensify. Now they were no longer just whispers, but harsh, guttural voices that seemed to mock the friends. Fear crept into their hearts as they realized the voices were no longer distant, but coming from the very trees surrounding them. The campfire flickered ominously, casting long, menacing shadows that seemed to dance with malevolence. Shadows that were not cast by any tree or creature they could see. The friends clung to one another, their faces ashen with fear, and it became clear that they were no longer alone in the whispering woods. The friends retreated to their tents, seeking refuge from the unsettling whispers that surrounded them. But the darkness inside their tents brought no solace. Instead, it brought vivid, haunting dreams that plagued their sleep. In his dream, Mark saw himself trapped within a tangled mess of gnarled branches, the trees closing in around him like prison bars. He could hear the whispers growing louder, like a chorus of tormented souls. Sarah's dream was even more disturbing, as she found herself in a shadowy, ethereal forest, where grotesque, contorted figures reached out to touch her. The whispers, now distinctly sinister, echoed in her mind, planting seeds of terror. As morning dawned, the friends awoke, their faces etched with exhaustion and fear. They emerged from their tents, each of them haunted by their own nightmarish visions. Desperate to understand the source of the whispers, the group decided to explore deeper into the whispering woods. Sarah led the way, her determination masking her unease. As they ventured further, they noticed strange symbols etched into the bark of the trees, symbols that seemed ancient and ominous. The friends took photographs of the symbols, hoping to decode their meaning later. With every step they took, the forest felt more like a labyrinth, and they began to lose track of time and direction. The whispers continued, now a constant, maddening drone in the background. Days turned into nights, and the friends grew more and more desperate to escape the whispering woods. The whispers, now audible even during the day, had taken a toll on their sanity. They began to doubt each other, suspecting that one of them might be behind the eerie occurrences. The food supplies were dwindling, and their attempts to leave the forest always led them back to the same point, as if the woods itself were manipulating their path. They discovered that the symbols on the trees seemed to be leading them deeper into the heart of the woods. Sarah, driven by a desperate need for answers, decided to confront the source of the whispers. With a heavy heart, she left her friends behind and followed the symbols to a clearing deep within the forest. The clearing was like something out of a nightmare. In the center stood a colossal, ancient tree, its bark dark and twisted, and its branches gnarled and reaching out like skeletal fingers. Sarah could hear the whispers emanating from it, and they seemed to form words now. As she approached the tree, Sarah's heart pounded in her chest. The whispers grew louder, and she finally made out the words, though they made no sense. Awaken, release, revenge, consume. Fearfully, she reached out and touched the tree, and in that instant, a wave of malevolence surged through her. Her vision blurred, and the forest seemed to come alive, the trees writhing and reaching for her. She stumbled back, her scream joining the cacophony of whispers. Sarah rejoined her friends, her eyes filled with terror as she recounted her encounter with the malevolent tree. The symbols, the whispers, and the haunting dreams had all led her to this point, and the forest's intentions had become clear. It sought to awaken a sinister presence, to release it from its long captivity, to seek revenge on the intruders, and to consume their souls. Desperation overcame the group, and they tried to flee the forest once more, but the forest itself had become an entity with a dark will. The trees seemed to move, blocking their path, and the whispers now echoed with malice. Trapped and hopeless, the friends realized they had no choice but to confront the malevolent force lurking within the whispering woods. They gathered the symbols they had photographed, hoping that they might hold the key to appeasing or banishing the sinister presence. They returned to the clearing with the monstrous tree, their hands trembling. As they placed the symbols at the base of the tree, a guttural, inhuman voice emerged from the whispers, a voice that seemed to be both ancient and malevolent. The forest itself began to shake, and the very ground beneath them quaked. The towering trees swayed ominously, their branches whipping through the air. The friends clung to one another, their eyes filled with terror. The malevolent presence, awakened by their actions, began to manifest itself. It emerged from the colossal tree, a dark, formless mass of shadows, oozing with a palpable malevolence. The whispers grew into a cacophony of torment, the voices of the trees crying out in pain and anger. Desperation gave way to courage, and the friends chanted an incantation in a desperate bid to banish the sinister entity. The symbols they had placed at the base of the tree glowed with an eerie light, and the forest itself seemed to recoil. The malevolent presence fought back, lashing out with tendrils of darkness that grasped at the friends, trying to pull them into its formless abyss. But the incantation held firm, and the symbols began to burn with an intensity that matched the fire of their determination. With a final agonized scream, the malevolent presence was consumed by the light, and the forest fell silent. The whispering woods returned to its dormant state, as though the events of the past days had never occurred. Exhausted and shaken, the friends made their way out of the whispering woods. The eerie whispers that had tormented them had finally ceased, and the forest felt different, as though it had purged itself of the malevolent presence that had once held it captive. As they emerged into the clear, sunlit world outside the forest, they looked back one last time at the whispering woods, knowing that they had faced an ancient evil and emerged victorious. The malevolent entity was banished, but the scars it left on their minds would never fully heal. Years passed, and the friends kept their promise to one another, never to speak of the horrors they had experienced in the whispering woods. The symbols they had gathered were locked away, hidden from the world. Yet, in the quiet hours of the night, each of them would sometimes hear faint, ghostly whispers carried on the wind, and they would be reminded of the darkness they had faced. The whispering woods, once an alluring and mysterious place, would forever haunt their dreams and cast long, chilling shadows over their lives. The sinister presence had been banished, but the scars it left on their souls were a reminder that some secrets are best left undisturbed, buried deep